What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Cardinal Sports Zone and Ringside podcast collaborative show, the Wednesday Night Wrestling Recap. We're your hosts, Jeremy Wahman, Joe Wahman, and Sam, or actually, as the WWE would name us this week, I'm Wamjer, Joey is Wazilla, and Sam is Bizaz Boy. Sean's not with us tonight due to vaginal irritation, but we're going to have a good show tonight, guys.
He wishes.
He was his, not somebody else's.
Oh, okay.
The chat line is open for all your comments. We'll answer all of your questions in real time to get your reactions. If you're a member of the Ringside group channel on Twitter, you have the opportunity to call in as well. Guys, we have a lot to go over. First off, really quickly, while I get I've been scrambling to get these overlays done by the time the show started, and then forgot to put my notes in. But how's everybody's week going? Sam, you out there driving buses?
Yeah, we doing our annual 8-hour update, trying to retrain drivers and make sure they didn't, whatever bad habit they might have picked up during the school year, we kind of catch it and correct it so that during the summer break they forget it again.
Awesome. Heard they're talking about adding another start time going forward. Well, you know what? We'll talk about that on our show, our other show, Cardinal Sports Zone podcast. We're going to go over a variety of things tonight. We have our OVW report from Chris Runyon. He sent it in. We have our AEW report, which is probably just a couple of sentences from our guy Tom Jeffries. And we have results from TNA's pay-per-view from our guy Clint Carroll, and so much more. Let's go back to Monday night. Money in the Bank night. Everybody was chanting, "We want truth. We want truth." We got truth. Ron the Truth Killings returned at Money in the Bank to screw over his childhood hero John Cena. First question is that everybody is asking: was this a work? Sam, do you think that this was planned all along? I don't know if you know what work and shoot means, so I'm going to dumb it down for everybody that doesn't know. Do you think that he actually got fired, or this was part of a storyline?
I think this is part of the storyline. I don't follow WWE as much as you guys, but I've never known them to actually fire somebody and then so quickly bring them right back.
So 2 other times, Matt Hardy got fired and brought back.
Immediately, like within the next week?
Within about a month. Weeks. Yeah, it was within a month. And then Daniel Bryan got fired for his part in the Nexus coming out and destroying everything going on at ringside. He put a tie around the ring announcer's throat and tried to choke him with it. He got fired for that, even though he says he was told to do that. Save face, though, got fired, and the crowds took over immediately, chanting Daniel Bryan, and it really led to that yes movement. So no, not as quick. There are reasons for, and I've got some reasons why I think it is, and then reasons why I think it's not. Joey, what about you? Do you think this was just a "oh crap, we messed up, let's fix it" moment, or was this part of the plan? Because it would have been a brilliant part of the plan.
Well, I guess, like I'm like you, I could see reasons for both sides, but for the most part, I think it was a shoot. Because technically his contract wasn't over just yet, so it wasn't really that they were bringing him back. They probably just, re-signed his deal to give him probably one final run. But the only person that has said publicly that it was a work was Triple H, but even on the flip side, when people online say, "Oh, it was all a work," Ron Killings retweets and says, "No work." So,
but if it was a work, that was exactly what Ron Killings would do.
So I'm not really sure. I don't think they could have foreshadowed that. I think maybe, like I said, he was still under contract, and they thought, well, we don't know how long his contract was. They said it was just like till the end of summer, I think, maybe. And just letting him know that he wasn't getting re-signed. That they would re-sign him to a lesser deal, but he turned it down. So I don't think we'll ever fully know. But either way, it was good to see him back on Monday. Good to see the pop that he got. He got more views. His segment got the most views on Monday Night Raw.
We'll get to Monday night here in a second.
Yeah. So now I was not expecting him to cut his hair.
No, you're right.
So that was a little bit of a shock factor, but it was obviously good to see him back on. And either way, no matter which way it was good to see that they kind of listened and brought it, did listen to the fans and got him back on TV.
Tom Jeffrey saying, "What's up? What's up, Tom? Appreciate you joining us here at Ringside with the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast." So I'm going to give you reasons why I'm going to play I'm going to play devil's advocate here. R-Truth was the number one talent with T-shirt sales when he was let go. On Monday night, the day after he was released, they made Rhea Ripley take off a T-shirt she had wore on Instagram. Oddly enough, the same T-shirt that 5 days later, while he was still Saturday night at Money in the Bank, 5 seconds after the show's over, that T-shirt goes on sale at WWE Shop. Too much of a coincidence. And last but not least, R-Truth is a genius. So I would not put it past him. Maybe he wanted R-Truth to be released, but Ron Killings wasn't released. Maybe that was part of his storyline. I don't know. I'm interested in seeing how this is going to pan out. I think it's going to be pretty good.
But Ron Killings' world title run, hopefully.
Yep, I'm down. I'm hoping to.
I'm down for that. I was watching some of his the stuff leading up to his world title win in TNA when he first joined on episode 1 of NWA TNA, and so much same conviction we saw, and we'll talk about Monday night here in a few once we get past Saturday night. But it was really good stuff, and I was happy to see it, and I've got a lot of hope for this storyline. But Money in the Bank 2025 was another amazing event. Seth Rollins and Naomi very, very predictably won their Money in the Bank ladder matches, which I believe me and Joey both predicted that those would be the winners.
Yep.
Sam wasn't here. Becky Lynch captured the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And again, another, you didn't think that Lucha Del Rey was going to beat him, but it is what it is. Dominic is showing more and more, and he did on Monday night as well, how valuable, and it just proved me wrong because I thought he was going to be a flop. I didn't care for him at all, and he's taking every opportunity by the horns and just destroying it. And the only wrestler in history to storyline, to kayfabe date Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, and now flirting with Roxanne Perez.
And has a hot wife.
And his wife is actually, might be better looking than all of them. So, living the life there. Additionally, I'm missing a match.
So should we should like manifest for Sean and start calling him Dirty Sean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we already have.
Well, different context though.
Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defeated John Cena and Logan Paul. There were 5 matches. What was the 5th match?
Well, you said 5. Dom versus Octagon.
Oh yeah, Dom, Becky, the 2 Money in the Banks,
and the tag team.
Yeah, what I thought was interesting. What I thought that they probably didn't want to happen that did happen organically. R-Truth come out, hit John at the end of the night. Nobody even realized, unless you were just sitting there. I mean, let me ask you, what were your thoughts after the match was over with, Joey?
Just all I could think about was R-Truth coming out, and I couldn't remember really anything else about the stories. I mean, there was some slight. I remember some slight. I don't know what the word is, between Cena and Logan Paul at one point.
About teaching each other, like he was supposed to be showing him the ropes or something like that.
Well, like just Cena tagging it or Logan Paul tagging in, and then Cena, like some internal turmoil on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, but like for Cody and Jey, like nothing really stands out. It's like R-Truth coming out or some.
That's exactly the emotion I wanted to hear. Sam, same thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what happened that got overlooked that I don't think WWE wanted overlooked. Cody Rhodes pinned the world heavyweight champion, or sorry, the WWE champion, and nobody noticed it because they were so hype about R-Truth coming back. And that's something it even took me a couple of days to realize before I was like, oh, wait a minute, Cody just become the first person to pin John Cena on his farewell tour. So, yeah, lots of stuff there that can come from that. I'm, again, one of the most exciting times to be a wrestling fan. And that's why we brought this show here to you all. Kind of, I'll say pull it from the ashes because it's still a Ringside podcast production, just a spinoff. But we wanted to talk about the important things in wrestling, and we wanted to get you all your weekly wrestling fix. Now, we're going to try to do this every couple of weeks. We're not doing it every week because we all have other things that we are obligations and stuff like that. So, and I don't want to I already write like 17 shows a month. I don't want another one that I have to do. Hopefully you all keep the momentum and keep the views up, and we'll keep doing them. Monday Night Raw, the biggest stories that come from Monday Night Raw. Let's go ahead and do a summary, and then we'll go back. It was announced Punk and John Cena would wrestle in Saudi Arabia. Nikki Bella came out, and an interesting development between her and the LIV come out. The King of the Ring tournament and Queen of the Ring tournament was announced. R-Truth cuts his hair, and Gunther, and it's looking like it's because Jey Uso got hurt at some point within the last week or so. I don't know if that's just how they're selling it to make him look better, but they took the title off him to put it on Gunther so he could defend it against Goldberg at either Night of Champions or Saturday night's main event. That's a spoiler for you all. It hadn't happened on TV yet. But let's go into a couple of the questions that I hadn't posed. Punk Cena, Saudi Arabia. Punk lambasted people all over in WWE when they went to Saudi the first time. He told somebody to suck a blood money covered body part. I don't remember. Maybe it was Cena. I don't remember who it was. Could have been Miz. For some reason, Miz is coming to mind. But anyway, do we think this actually, and I'll tell you why I don't think. There's another question. So the first question is, and you all out there in the nation, let us know. A, do we think it actually happens? And another development that happened, the King of the Ring tournament was announced with a question mark as an entrant. And we're gonna talk about that in a second too, because I think that directly correlates to one of the match results of the night. And Joey, we were talking about it live as it happened. So first question, do we think this actually happens? Or do we think Punk gets attacked and R-Truth gets entered? I'm sorry. Ron Killings gets entered into this match in Saudi Arabia.
I do not think this match happens in Saudi Arabia because I do not think so. Since CM Punk's been back in WWE, they've been to Saudi a couple times, and he has not went.
Not once. He's not been there one time.
I do not believe so. I think WWE is playing a very dangerous game with Saudi Arabia, right? Announcing this match for it, and then if it doesn't happen, the backlash that comes from it, right? But no, I don't think Cena versus CM Punk happens. I mean, that's the biggest matchup per se left on Cena's retirement tour, right? Mm-hmm. Him and CM Punk. So no, I don't think it happens in June when he's still got the X amount of dates left. I don't think you peak now and then it's just kind of downhill opponent wise after this. So no, I don't think it happens. Now, do I think it's R-Truth? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not sure it is. Maybe like what I was pointing to earlier, there was some turmoil internally between Cena and Logan Paul. The Saudis seem to like Logan Paul. They had him fight Roman Reigns for the championship there. So maybe Logan Paul gets a title shot against John Cena at Night of Champions.
All right, so
but I don't think it's R-Truth yet. I think R-Truth may be the last one that faces heel Cena and brings him back to happy-go-lucky Cena before he retires.
And look, they didn't know any of the questions. We just keep bouncing. I have other questions going forward in the show. They keep addressing them. That's just how in sync, and that's not like the group, but that's
It's
how in
just
sync
wrestling
we are.
minds. It's just wrestling minds thinking alike.
Sam, do you think the match actually happens?
I do not.
Okay.
But I was.
Joey's going Logan Paul. I'm going Ron Killings. Who do you think that is going to take Cena's place?
I think Cena's place.
Sorry, you knew how I meant.
I'm gonna side with Joey on this one. I think it might be Logan Paul, because in my mind I believe that somewhere down the line, Ron Killings is going to be the one to beat Cena. That's just me. So I don't think the CM Punk happens. I don't think CM Punk happens, and I don't think it's Ron Killings. It might just be, unfortunately, no. It should be Logan Paul.
Okay. I don't hate that. They did tease a little dissension in the match. It was funny to find out today. I forgot where I saw it at. It was either Sean Ross Sapp or WrestleVotes or Wrestle Talk, but one of them were talking about before the match. Logan Paul went up to Cena and was like, "Hey, do you mind if I put the spot in here where I back springboard off the ropes into the announce table?" And John Cena looked at him and said, "You can't pull that off." And Logan Paul said, "I promise you I can." So I don't know if there was a wager there or not, but he pulled it off. Look, Logan Paul.
I wouldn't bet against that kid on anything athletically.
Let's talk just a little bit about Logan Paul here. As much as I dislike it, which he's doing his job if I dislike him, because he's a heel. Kid's crazy special. Unfortunately, I feel like he's going to be a world champion one day.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. So that brings us to the second part of that question. Who's the question mark? The King and Queen of the Ring tournament. By the way, the brackets were revealed at the beginning of the show. An awful job by whoever, the graphics department, by spoiling the surprise return of Asuka. She could have very well have been another question mark on the women's side.
That burnt me up immediately, and I told you, I'm like, what are they doing?
What they should have done is, so they did that, and then later in the show they aired a vignette. If they were going to do if they weren't going to surprise return her, they should have aired the vignette first, then aired the graphic.
Right.
They did it the opposite way. Who's the question mark? I truly believe the question mark is Jey Uso. I think that they couldn't put him in that field because he was still the champion. So why would you put Jey Uso in? That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Unless there's a debut, and again, we speculated that night it could be the debut of somebody to the main roster. It could be a Obafemi. It could be a Ricky Saints. It could be somebody from another company that we don't even know has exhausted their non-compete. I mean, Mariah May, as she was known at AEW, her contract was up one day and she showed up on NXT 2 days later. So you just never know how these things work. Hers, obviously, her contract ran out, so she didn't have a no-compete clause. But Sam, we'll start with you on this one. And Nation, you answer this question too. Here's the questions for you all in the Nation.
Oh, Nation.
Does the Cena Punk match happen? And two, and for right now, who's the question mark? Sam, who's the question mark?
I don't think it would be Jey Uso. I don't see it being Jey Uso. Now to answer the question, who I think it would be, that right there, I do not know.
It's Jey Uso. I just told you who it was.
I don't see it being Jey.
Tom Jeffrey says, I think Cena retires with the belt. I guess he could. I guess, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because I do have a scenario later where that does happen, but something happens to cause it all to come full circle. And Hayden Redmond says, first off, he asks about Vince Morrow, and that's a different show we do. So we're not going to talk about that today. We'll talk about that on our next show, which is
a week from Sunday.
Where and when do you all think Seth Rollins cashes in at? Well, he keeps mentioning the heist. I think it's in Vegas at Mania next year. Speaking of, they officially announced Vegas Mania again, back-to-back years. Don't like that,
and we've already got our room.
I hate that. Hayden Redmond also says it could be Mr. Iguana. the worldwide sensation, Mr.
They're
Iguana.
promoting the crap out of him right now.
I wish they wouldn't.
I got some interesting question marks when it gets to me, because one of them I'm not going to like, you're not going to like, nobody's going to like.
Okay, what's your Sam gave? No, you didn't even. Who did you say? You just
He
said
didn't.
you didn't know.
I didn't say.
Just went Jey Uso.
Because it's what what's it? Sheamus, Rusev, and
Bronson Reed.
I don't see any one of them winning it to go in advancing. So
whoever the question mark is advancing. We already know that.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, man. Rusev, like, you can't just bring him back and put him back into the same old things, the reasons why he left to begin with. I can see if it's Jey Uso in that slot. No, if it's Jey wins that little mini pod there. I don't know.
Because that would be up against Cody's bracket.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, is that because they were confused
the other
night?
well.
Is it a bracket, or is it just a bunch of fatal four-way? So
no, I'm showing it on my screen. They've got it in bracket.
Okay.
They've got pods. Yeah.
All right. Well, Podfather, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you think the question marks are?
Well, I've got three potentials. Braun Strowman got released. They said they could bring him back sporadically. There's history there with Bronson Reed. So that could be. I think what you were saying, Jeremy. I think Rusev probably comes out of that one, but could be Logan Paul still. If he's not the one that's fighting Cena, he could be in that pod. Or it's about time for Ilya Dragunov to come back.
Oh my God! Please don't let him come back.
That's the one I said I won't like. You won't like. Most people won't like. But history with Sheamus, that kind of style of match would be fitting for Ilya Dragunov. Hopefully, it's a Logan Paul or Jey Uso. I think there is a good chance it's Jey Uso, just to set up a Jey versus Cody semifinal.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
are the semifinals also at Night of Champions, or are they?
No, I think that's before. They haven't really said, but typically I think the last year it was just the finals that were at Night of Champions. They had the semifinals beforehand. Yeah, it could be about it. They could put anybody in there. I mean, Penta's not in it. It could be Penta. Penta's not in the tournament. So Finn's not in the tournament.
Were you surprised that Penta wasn't in it as much as they have pushed him?
Yeah. Well, like I said, Finn Balor's not in it as of right now.
But I don't see it being Finn either, because we just sat here and said whoever's the question mark.
I'm lying. I'm sorry. Penta was in it. He lost it. He lost.
Oh yeah, I was going to say he lost.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I guess I didn't think that Sami Zayn would win over Penta, or actually Braun Breaker. Kind of surprising, but
Garrett Hoover says, "What's up, fellas?
What's up, G?"
Sean Thomas has a basketball question for Sam. Again, this is the Wednesday Night Wrestling Recap. Cardinal Sports Zone podcast will be back with you later on in the week, next week. If you have a question for Sam, just DM him.
Twitter DM.
And jump in his DM. The H-Man says, I think Cena wins the match. Then who the question mark is, I think it's Mr. Iguana or Braun Strowman. Okay. All guesses. No guesses are stupid unless I say they are. So let's go over this next. You all know I've had a extreme hatred for a lot of wrestlers. Dean Ambrose, John Cena, Roman Reigns. My stance on Roman Reigns has changed, and I never thought it would. John Cena, I have warmed up to heel John Cena. I hope that Dean Ambrose.
Don't forget Matt Riddle.
No, I'm not going to mention him because he don't exist in my world,
bro.
And he's a snitch. So no, I don't like snitches, and I don't like him. And there is nothing he could. Dean Ambrose has a better chance of getting in my good graces than the devil himself. Bro. Maxwell Jacob Friedman has a better chance. See where I went there? So one thing I've been talking about Cena, one thing I've really enjoyed about this run is every city he's went to, the presentation, here for one last time or one final time, And if you've noticed, every time he's come out, he's been wearing T-shirts
with their colors.
in the font and colors of whatever university or pro team. When he was in Phoenix, he had the Suns font and Suns colors. I got sick in my mouth earlier when I realized that they were going to Lexington this week. John Cena will be there. And when I looked up online, they're selling Lexington branded Cena shirts and title belts.
Hopefully, Seth Rollins cashes in Lexington then.
I hope so.
In all red.
You know what? And honestly, John, you follow me on Twitter. You might be watching. I tagged you in the post. You might be watching. Why didn't you come to Louisville? You lived here. You started here. Why go to that cesspool of diarrhea, vomit, and butt
maybe
stuff?
He didn't want to act like
why.
this in Louisville. Maybe he didn't want to act like he is in Louisville. That's what we're going to go with, because that's what people over there act like.
Maybe. Well, speaking of John Cena, I thought it was very funny that the very next thing they show is Nikki Bella. I'm digging the Nikki Liv thing. I think that could be special. Again, we talked about R-Truth already and Gunther. We're going to save this for the end of the show, but we want your all's predictions now. And let me go ahead and copy and paste this later into the show. We want your way too early predictions. Who is John Cena's final opponent? We'll talk about that here shortly. Let's go to the next thing. And listen, we're already 30 minutes in. Got a bunch of you all watching. We appreciate it. The OVW report. We'll make this quick. Anthony Katina versus Dustin Jackson was nixed because of last week. The Revolution injured Dustin, causing him to relinquish his championship. It's announced that Katina versus Totelli for the vacant title. Katina wins the match. Match of the night by far. Great run time as well. Trifecta celebrates on the ramp. I like that little faction in OVW. We're going to have to go catch a show here soon. Jack Vaughn and Donovan Cecil backstage segment. Vaughn challenges the Mammoth to a series of mental toughness and games as through the night the Mammoth dominates. Freya, the Slayer, versus Rachel Leigh. Freya dominates and destroys Rachel and screams out that to Sophie that title is hers and it's only a matter of time as the match concludes. OVW Women's Champion Sophia Rose and lovely Miss Larkin tag up against Angelica Risk and Maddie, the American Baddie. Love the names. Really good match. Good length of time given. Rose and Larkin get the W. Tony Evans and Cal Hero match about 15 minutes after intros and promos. Cal wins. The Revolution comes out to pursuit. Did Higgy write this? I don't know. Chris, you're almost as bad as Higgy. To hurt Cal, only to have the champ Surge come out to save the day for 2 weeks in a row. The Rush Division title match, the ladder match that was supposed to be at the pay-per-view, switched to Thursday, but this week, one of those matches, let me go to my nifty little shot sheet here that I should have already had pulled up, but it's live TV, pal. There was a match we talked about last week. It was Cal Hero and the ever popular question mark versus Tony Gunn and Crixus. It was revealed on OVW social media this week that Cal Hero's tag team partner will be the Bad A Billy Gunn. So that should be pretty fun. OVW Arena, Hot Point Davis Arena, my bad. Tickets start at $10. Go to ovwtix.com or go with me and we'll get you some special treatment. TNA report. We got Against All Odds. Screen is messing up. The results for TNA Against All Odds. As I'm waiting for the screen to load. That's my bad, y'all. Against All Odds was I watched the pay-per-view, very good pay-per-view. It was on really late because of it being on the West Coast. But so to start off the show, the kickoff show, countdown, it was Zaya Brookside, Myla Grace, Harley Hudson, some newcomers to Impact, to TNA. They fought the Elegance brand, which is Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance.
Heather by Elegance.
I'm trying to see if it says all the names. But at the end of the Ash and Heather by and M by the third one's M by Elegance. At the end of the match, though, there was a surprise. WWE fans, the Iconics, TNA fans, the Inspiration, returned to Against All Odds. They look to be in the thick of the title hunt. First time they've been to TNA in several years. The next match was let's see. Mustafa Ali demanded a match against one of his teammates, Jason Hotch. They get that match done. Mance Warner versus Steve Macklin for the International Championship was set for the night. Per TNA management, Matt Cardona would be the special guest referee for Santino versus Robert Stone. Let's go get to the matches. Here we go. Steve Macklin retained his title against Mance Warner. Then the next match, The System versus Leon Slater, the Hardys, and the ever popular question mark.
The hometown man.
The hometown man, Cody Deaner, right? Is that who he is?
Yeah.
But it's not Cody Deaner because Cody Deaner lost a loser leave town match to Eddie Edwards at Under Siege. So is this another Elijah? What was his? No,
gimmick? This is another Hulk Hogan in the.
This is another Chad Gable El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
But what was Elias's brother's name, which was really just him with the shaved off beard?
Ezekiel with the
So
looking like a Paul Roma lookalike back in the day.
But Leon Slater, the Hardys, and the hometown man, definitely not Cody Deaner, pick up the W. Next match, Mustafa Ali versus Jason Hotch.
Good
Mustafa
match.
Ali, probably one of the matches of the night. He wins that match, says actions have consequences. We'll find out what those consequences are on TNA Impact tomorrow night. Next match was the next thing was the First Class Penthouse with Mike Santana. They had cost Santana the TNA World Title against Trick Williams on the past Tuesday's episode of NXT, which also a great match between Santana and Trick. Santana showed that he belonged. But that segment ended with AJ Francis shattering a champagne bottle over Santana's head after Santana slapped around Casey Navarro, which, by the way, this Tuesday night on NXT, it is Trick Williams, Casey Navarro, and Top Dollar or AJ Francis fighting Elias, and I forgot who his tag team partners are. Do you remember, Joey?
No.
Is it Hank and Tank?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, you figure that out while I'm reading.
Yeah, I'm looking. I forgot.
The next match, TNA Knockouts World Title match, it's Xia Li, formerly known as, versus Masha Slamovich. Masha retains. Killer Kelly came out after that match, which was the TNA stable, to say she's back in TNA. Next match was Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian. Hendry gets pinned by a cheap move with Frankie's legs were up on the ropes. He cheats to beat Joe Hendry, as a good heel always does. Nice interview segment after that. Robert Stone tried to pay off Matt Cardona before the match. TNA World Title match, the Nimitz, which is for Dolph Ziggler and his brother, formerly known as, versus the Rascals in a good match.
Dolph Ziggler's brother.
The end. Yep. The TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Nimitz, retain the titles. The TNA Director of Authority match was won by Santino Marella. Another really interesting match. That was Santino's daughter was in his corner. In Robert Stone's corner was Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford, also formerly known as Alicia Fox in WWE. Santino hits his backup Cobra because they ran out with his initial Cobra. Very entertaining match. I won't say this was a fundamentally sound match, but it was very, very entertaining. Make sure y'all sign up for TNA Plus. You get all these mini pay-per-views for your monthly charge, but they're all included.
By the way, it's Elijah, Josh Briggs, and Yoshiki.
Oh yeah. And I'm interested with that angle because I almost expect they kicked Briggs' old tag team partner out of the Cullen last week. I'm almost expect him to show up. I think the Tamahashi Shibishi turns on Josh Briggs. They've been kind of playing up that he wasn't being very truthful with Josh Briggs about why he was here at NXT. I think he turns on Briggs, and then Brooks Jensen returns to make the save. Last but not least, against all odds, it was Trick Williams versus Elijah. Trick Williams wins with the trick shot. Solid B+ pay-per-view from TNA, and that's what you expect out of those mini ones. I mean, I wouldn't give any federations mini pay-per-views an A. They shouldn't be A's. You want your A's to be at your major pay-per-view. So that's just me being fickle there. The AEW report by Tom Jeffries. AEW came on, and then it went off. Great report, Tom. Last week was Fyter Fest. Let's see. I'm going through the Will Ospreay started off. Ospreay, Swerve, all Ospreay's trying to get him, Strickland, and Hangman Page to fight the Death Riders. Swerve rejected Ospreay. Ospreay challenges Leo Rush to a match on Collision. I really love the bet. So there were a couple things I did like about AEW this week. And thank you, Tom, for sending this. I'm not going to read it all because we're going short on time and not a lot of people really – we're trying to represent every federation, right? But nobody likes AEW but Tom. I did enjoy the MJF Ospreay interaction, and then when Ospreay would try to get tough with them, the Hurt Syndicate, the rest of the Hurt Syndicate showed up and kind of punked Ospreay out. That was really good. Anything Tony Storm does is entertaining. MJF come out to do an interview out and said he wanted gold. And the three smallest people on earth walk out: Mike Bailey, Commander, and Kevin Knight. It challenges MJF, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin to a match. But they leave, and LaFaction and something come out for a 6-man tag match versus, as Tom wrote, the Spurred Ball, which I think that's supposed to be Speedball, Commander, and Knight. They win that match. The last match of the night is a 4-way match for the international belt. Omega versus King versus Claudio versus Mascara Dorada. Is that Lindsay Dorada? Just with a different name there. I don't know. Omega wins after he finishes them off with the one-winged angel. For me, AEW's got a lot of work to do to make it back to where they were. When they first started, the first couple of years they were in existence, they had a lot of momentum. Now, they weren't better than WWE, but they were establishing themselves as a legitimate contender to TNA. Well, no, to WWE. Here's the crazy thing that happened. WWE and TNA teams up, and now TNA is the number 2 wrestling company in the world. And AEW is trying to get back up on their level, in my opinion. So I'm not ready to write them off forever. The shows have gotten better. There's multiple storylines going on at once, which is something they couldn't do before. So looking forward.
As long as Tony Khan is the booker of that show, it's never going to be any more than it is.
Well, there you go. Joey and actually right now, I forgot. Dynamite's on right now.
That's why we chose to do it now. Or that's why I wanted to do it at 8:00. Ain't nobody watching that show.
Well, that's not true. Tom's watching it. Go to the chat.
If you can
the
miss
AAA
AEW
show, Wes Brocky, the AAA show was pretty good. I liked it. It was really it was a really good show. H-Man says, talking about MJF, do y'all think whenever his time is up, he's coming to WWE? I didn't think so. I do now. Tom Jeffries is looking forward to Nick Nikki versus Liv at Evolution, like we talked about. Wes Brocky's chiming in on the question. Final match for Cena. He thinks it's going to be Roman Reigns. H-Man says, who's John Cena's last match? I think it would have to be someone from his past. Okay. Also thinks the Revolution will hurt Billy Gunn, and I think they are bringing in another partner for Cal Hero. I don't think. H-Man says, Zaya Brookside was in Impact Wrestling before. Yeah, we weren't talking about her making her. It's a Killer Kelly. Zaya Brookside's been in Impact TNA off and on for the past several years. And last but not least, Tom Jeffrey says, I'm watching Dynamite. Listen, we want to bring a lot of different. We're going to get to the NXT report because obviously NXT was the show of the week, as it is pretty much every week. But we got a couple of segments that we're bringing over from Ringside. One of them we had was called the Pipe Bomb, and that's where somebody has something very passionate that they want to just riff on. And it's normally we get whoever has it, whether it's Daniel or Eric or Linda or myself, we get in character and we just unload. I've got a little something to unload on. I'll do the first one, and then you all come up with pipe bomb segments for the next one, and whoever y'all can pitch it before the show, and whoever's topic I like better, or maybe y'all can why not both do it? Y'all can both do them.
I would have pipe bombed on the Oscar thing tonight.
You did already, yeah.
Because I mean, as y'all know, I'm a huge Oscar fan. Like, that made no sense to me. They did that to Kairi Sane too.
Yeah, they did.
Whenever Charlotte's coming back, you get 4 weeks of vignettes and this, that, and the other, like to get hyped, and it's just like, let's pop a bracket on the TV, and I'm like, what the heck? And Jeremy said I didn't even notice that when I think I'm like, really, they're going to spoil Oscar's return with just flashing a bracket.
So in essence, Joey spoiled my Oscar return. But we're going to do that, and I've got a new segment that we're going to. Again, I've been playing around with a little bit of video editing equipment and stuff, but I think you're going to like this. It's a new segment just for this show. We like to call it the Heel Turn. Heel Turn. This week's Heel Turn, I'm going to, again, debuting the segment was my idea. If y'all have ideas for segments, send them to us. We'll do it. We will do anything for money, pause, within reason. My heel turns this. I kind of alluded to it earlier. SmackDown's been doing really well. They kept their 3-hour slot. Everything was good and fine. And then you did something stupid. USA Network, that's where it's at, right? USA Network?
Yeah.
You brought SmackDown to Lexington. Why would you do that? That's one of the dirtiest places on earth. It smells like butt and Fritos there, which are not, they're not one and the same. They're not mutually exclusive smells, but they kind of, I'd rather, what was that old saying growing up, that birds fly upside down over Indiana because it's not worth taking the crap on? That's the way we feel about Lexington, not Indiana. We love Indiana. Lexington, it's stupid. It probably shouldn't even be a city. They're losing all their coaches to other teams. They smell. They've got their moms and dads are siblings. They don't have all their teeth. They kind of resemble meth partakers. That's my heel turn. That's what I want. It kind of sounded like a pipe bomb a little bit too, but I'm heel turning on USA Network. This SmackDown should have been in Louisville. You should have brought John Cena back to his hometown so he could get all the cheers and then look out to the crowd and be like, you all are stupid. Just turn on us. He'll turn our heel turn. So that was heel turn. Thank you to our guy, Louis Metzinger. If the last name sounds familiar, brother of Ben Metzinger, a former Louisville Cardinal baseball star. We'll talk some Louisville baseball tomorrow on the Omapod, live from Omaha, Nebraska. I won't be in Omaha, but everybody else that I'm talking to tomorrow night will be in Omaha, Nebraska. Don't have a time for it yet. We'll get that information out to you when we get it. I digress. Let's get to NXT. It started off pretty solidly. Ethan Page retained over Sean Evolve, whatever his name is.
Legacy.
Put
some respect on his name.
No, because I don't think he'll be here in 6 weeks. Horrible gimmick. So Ethan Page retains. I love Ethan Page. I have been a fan of his for years. As I put in the group chat yesterday, the Ringside Podcast group chat, fan group chat, we had the opportunity to interview Ethan Page back in I think it was 2019, 2020. It was something like that. I don't remember the exact date now, but it was pretty early on in the career of Ringside at an EWE show over in Jeffersonville, Indiana. You could tell then that he was going to be a star. He's got star written all over him. The fact he's still in NXT, I have no idea why. But after the match is over with, Ricky Saints jumps him, plays off his throat injury. He's got a kinetic strip on his throat, which I've never seen before from a man. And it's crazy. Next thing the next kind of developments that happened, JC Jane defended her title against a newcomer. Afterwards, the female Rock comes out and says JC Jane will defend her title at Evolution 2. I think that's pretty cool. I wasn't a big fan of Evolution 1, but they are really stacking this one up. There's going to be a couple of Eliminator, which I thought it was pretty funny. They used the term last night, Eliminator matches, because that's a term they've never used before. What did they used to call them? Championship challenge matches?
Yeah, I can't remember what
it was something. But AEW started calling their matches Eliminator matches, and NXT kind of bit off of them last night, and it wasn't lost upon the true fans. But there's 4 Eliminator matches next week. Those people will fight, and the winner will
go to a fatal 4-way of each one, I think.
Yeah. Against JC Jane at Evolution 2. Not sure what they're doing with the No Quarter Catch crew. Miles Bourne fought Charlie Dempsey to get out of the group last week. I don't know why you want to get out of a group you're a part of. This week, Tavian Heights challenged him to get out of the group. So I don't know actually what's going to happen. It is what it is. Oba Femi beats Jasper, Troy Jasper, whatever his name is. Thoughts on I'm not a big fan of the Troy Jasper dude or Jasper Troy dude.
Jasper Troy.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Sam, did you get to watch any of NXT last night?
No.
I did.
Well, this dude he makes Oba Femi look like Oba Mini. So it's
he's humongous.
He's a humongous dude. I don't agree with him getting a title, being put into the title picture so soon. I did like how before the show started, they had him attack Oba out in the parking lot, and they gave you a little bit. You thought there was a chance that he was going to defeat Oba, and Oba would be elevated to the main roster. But Oba overcame everything to win that match. Here we go. It's my annual, no, not annual. It's my weekly. It's my perennial yawn for the show. But yeah, he didn't end up beating Oba. But any positive thoughts on the Jasper kid?
Oh, I think he's got a future. I think they were it was probably something that was promised, like, hey, the winners, because they had the one girl on NXT the week before. Then they brought him because he was the male winner, correct?
Yeah.
He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the look. I think it'd just be more polishing him up. But I thought they did him good in the long run by having him look so strong against Oba, which has been booked to look very strong against everybody else. So once Oba leaves, they've still got that kind of role, and they've got somebody to fill that role. So long-term booking, I think it did good for him. It'll just be more of going through promo classes and things like that. But he's got the look. He's humongous. You're right. Oba looked small. I like the spot where he threw Oba into the corner and it busted the turnbuckle off.
That was pretty dope.
Yeah. So all in all, I mean, it was just a bruiser type fight. You're not going to you're not going to look back and say that was a classic, but it was just a brawl. And at the end of the night, like you said, there were times where you thought, well, maybe Oba's leaving. and they're going to put the NXT World Title on this guy right away. But then Oba powered up and finished him off.
Absolutely. The biggest news of the night, though, is that they and again, the stuff that's going on in WWE right now is just amazing. We got a vignette that at the end of it revealed Mariah May's new name in WWE. Started off with and I thought this was like a little jab to Toni Storm and her timeless thing. They did like a little newspaper, 60s type black and white newspaper. It was like the glamour is here because that was her nickname in AEW. I don't know if that was intended to be that way, but that's the way. And then they had her taking a bath, as you can see in Joey's background. She was taking a bath, getting her makeup put on. No, stop. And then she reveals that
be there in a minute.
She reveals that her new name is Blake Monroe. The Blake part, she's got a niece named Blake that she just was like, that was a no-brainer. Her initials are BM. That's not really good. Her actual real name is Mariah May Mims. They could have called her Triple M. They could have called her Blake May, or they could have done Mariah Monroe. I would have liked either one of those better, but it is what it is. They brought up a good point. Tommy Dreamer and Dave LaGreca this morning on Busted Open. Hadn't mentioned them all day. Got to go ahead and mention them because they are my go-to show while I am putting that work in. Is anybody going to anybody going to care in a couple of weeks that she used to be Mariah May? A lot of your WWE fans don't even watch AEW. There are a small portion that are wrestling idiot heads like we all are here on the show, that we love all wrestling. We knew Mariah May. We knew that she wrestled in Stardom and came from Stardom to AEW, and then from AEW to NXT. You got to think she's probably not on an NXT contract money-wise. They probably had to give her big boy money. But is the diehard WWE fan going to care about her name after she has established herself on WWE television?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think most people are worried about Ricky Saints used to be in Ricky Starks at this point. Like, I mean, it just takes a couple of weeks of.
Well, at least his name is Ricky in both places, so that one I don't really.
I would say that obviously she had input into her new name if she, chose Blake after her niece. So she probably had a lot of input into.
And the Monroe part was after Marilyn Monroe. That was her inspiration.
Right. And we don't know that she didn't ask to have, a new ring name going into NXT. Maybe she wanted to put a button on the past part of her career. And I did find it interesting that she's not in any of those fatal four-ways going into Evolution. So hopefully they find a way to get her onto the Evolution 2 pay-per-view against someone.
But somebody can always get attacked in the backstage.
Yeah. I don't think in a month from now, it's Blake Monroe. I mean, and that's fine with me as long as I get to see her grace my TV. They were doing like some rhyming when they were about to announce who she was, and right before they said, and it's Blake Monroe, they said something that rhymed with May, which made me thought, oh, she's going to stay Mariah May. And then there's like, introducing Blake Monroe. And I was like, oh, man, they got me. They got me.
That's what I feel. That's how I feel about that. Sam, again, I know you don't watch NXT as much. You need to start watching. It's by far the best show every week. So give it a try.
Sam?
Oh, DVR?
Or do you have YouTube TV?
No, I do not have YouTube TV, but I do have DVR.
All right. Okay. Wow, he's in 2010.
She is a must-watch athlete. And okay, so Sam, a little homework for you for the next show. Again, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll preview. We will preview Night of Champions, recap Hard Reset by OVW, and talk about the build for Slammiversary at that point. But I want you to watch Mariah May versus Toni Storm. Do you remember where that was at? Where She busted her in the head.
No, but just Google Mariah May versus Toni Storm.
Matches and clips.
Ooh, wow.
It's pretty awesome. I kind of hear something that I feel like.
Hold on, wait. NXT is the one with Jada Parker.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Parker's old fine thick behind.
I watch that every once in a while. Now, if you ask me who she's fighting, I just watch her.
You're missing out, dude. You're missing out.
Fair enough.
And because it used to be, it might have been AEW with Nikita Lyons a couple of months ago. It's been a while though, so
wouldn't have been AEW.
I don't know. You get busy, stuff just happens, and when you don't have a routine,
no, Nikita forget about it. Nikita was in NXT too.
So okay.
Tom Jeffries wants to know: did we like Mariah May in AEW? I thought Mariah May was the bright spot, other than Toni Storm in AEW. Sasha Banks is falling flat on her face over there. I loved her so much, and I hate that she is wrestling in front of graduation-size crowds. So, yes, I did like Mariah May in AEW. I have a feeling I'm going to like Blake Monroe even more. And a great point by Tom. WWE fans don't care that LA Knight was Eli Drake. I will say this. When he popped on the NXT pre-show, when nobody knew WWE had signed him and started talking, I was like, man, that voice sounds familiar. He kept saying LA Knight. And LA, I thought he was talking about the Los Angeles Knights and stuff like that. And then they finally show his face. They don't show his face. But then I get on Twitter and they're like, oh, my God, that was Eli. Like they made a big deal out of it. I'll address this in a second. But I did care because I loved Eli Drake. I don't understand the reasoning. But we're going to get to the reasoning here in a second because, again, returning to the Ringside Podcast, it's time for the Pipe Bomb. WWE, let me talk to you. And I said,
yeah.
Why does Ethan Page get to keep his moniker and name? Why did Ricky Saints have to change his? Why did Mariah May have to change his? Why did you all have to change Piper Niven's to Dewdrop? What is up with these name changes? Stupidest name changes of all time. The dumbest thing I've seen since they turned Steve Keirn into Skinner. I don't know why you have to keep messing with these people names. CM Punk didn't have to change his name when he came in. Samoa Joe didn't have to change his. Y'all didn't make him like Joe Samoa or Joe Island or Joe Jungle, whatever. AJ Styles got to keep his name. Shinsuke got to keep his name. The Good Brothers got to keep their names. Why? I understand that you want to own trademark money, stuff for names for trademark purposes. You could always just put that in their contract. Hey, you all can come work for our company. You can keep your name. Sort of like they let R-Truth go back to Ron Killings. But we still get your merchandise money. We still get this and that. We still get a cut. I don't understand why some people get their name changed and why others don't get their name changed. You all changed Desmond Xavier to Wes Lee when he moved from TNA to NXT. There's just so many more that are escaping my mind right now. But
Jade Cargill got to keep hers.
Jade Cargill got to keep hers. I'm trying to think of other AEW defectors. Sean Spears got to keep his. Although he was Sean Spears. He was Gavin Spears in WWE, wasn't he?
No, it was...
no, it was Gavin.
The Perfect 10. He wasn't Gavin.
Gavin Spears. He was Gavin Spears in WWE's version of ECW. Then he went off camera, came back at NXT, and he was Ty Dillinger.
Ty Dillinger, there you go.
NXT.
Well, Brian Pillman, that's a good one. Brian Pillman.
Lexus King.
Yeah.
You make him Lexus King, which I think is a fire name.
Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green got to keep her name.
Stephanie Vaquer.
Julia.
Yeah, so there's a lot that did get to keep theirs, and then
it's very inconsistent. Very, very inconsistent. I don't like it. Let these people be who they are, and let Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, they got to be themselves. You didn't change their names. When Eric Young came in, Eric Young had that month run in NXT. He didn't have to change his name way back in the day. Beer
that
Money.
Disputed Era. They all get to keep their names.
They did. Keith Lee kept his. Beer Money.
James Storm and Bobby Roode.
Yeah, they got to keep their names when they're. Bobby Roode got to keep his name when he was in WWE. When they brought James Storm to NXT for that 2-week run, I never understood why it was only 2 weeks. He got to keep his name. So what's so different about Ricky? And now I know Ricky's not Ricky Starks isn't his real name, but it's like Ricky Jones. But still, I don't understand it. Maybe somebody out there can help us out. What are some as we wrap this show up as it hits 9:00 on the Eastern Shore here? We appreciate y'all tuning in. We didn't mean for this to be more than an hour long. We kind of hit our mark. We kind of didn't. While I'm wrapping up, you all tell me what you all think some of your stupidest. Inspired by Dave LaGreca today, he wanted to know everybody's favorite and least favorite name changes of all time. You all kind of do that here on the podcast line. Yeah, Brian Pillman shouldn't have changed his name. He shouldn't have. He was Brian Pillman in OVW.
Do you think it has to do maybe AEW owns the name of Mariah? Maybe in her contract with them, they bought the name Mariah May or Ricky Starks, things like that. And the other ones, they own their own name trademark. Maybe that's the reason by some of them and not by others.
Maybe so. We talked about this earlier. Way too early predictions, John, and we'll touch on this. Sean won't, but we'll all. I digress. Way too early predictions. John Cena's final opponent. I think his final opponent is R-Truth. I think R-Truth gets him to see the error of his ways. R-Truth still loses the match. John Cena retires with the championship, or R-Truth beats him for the championship and Cena retires, and then R-Truth loses it on Velocity the next week. Whatever. I think it's Ron Killings. I think that's his final opponent. Anybody else got a different final opponent?
Obafemi destroys it.
Okay.
No, I think if it's not R-Truth, it's Roman Reigns.
Interesting. It's got to be something that makes sense.
Or Brock Lesnar. Like, if enough time has passed, I still feel like there's a chance Brock comes in. They bring Brock back to have a match with John Cena.
My favorite John Cena match was SummerSlam when Brock Lesnar beat him in 90 seconds. He just F5'd him into oblivion.
That was the birth of Suplex City.
It was. It was. He hit him with about 197,000.
17, I think it was. Yeah.
17, 197. Close.
Yeah. Somewhere in the middle there.
Something like that. Look, y'all, we hope you all enjoyed tonight's show. Again, join us in 2 weeks as we preview Night of Champions, recap Hard Reset by OVW, and with Slammiversary just on the horizon, 6 weeks away, who will take down Trick and A? Let's talk about it. We will. If you all notice, we had a kind of generic bootleg intro. We've got a generic bootleg outro as well. We'll probably keep the outro because I like it. It's pretty good. But today I got to step into the world I like to call Sim City and talk with our guy B Sim. He's a local artist here who's been doing national stuff the last few years. Very, very cool dude. Very talented musician. He's going to be working on a new intro for us. And when I say everything he touches is fire, believe that. No Roman Reigns, pun intended there. So be on the lookout. I don't know that we'll have it before the next show, but we'll keep entertaining y'all. There will be pop-ins. I'm working on special guests for next time, and I think you all will enjoy it. We'll see. I don't want to make a habit out of getting special guests because those are headaches too, but I do think there's a strong possibility that we get this guy to hop on the show with us. Got a couple connections with him. 7 degrees of separation, if you will. But listen, for myself, for Wazilla, aka Joey, for the bass boy, if we were wrestlers, that would be your wrestling name. You would be Wazilla, and you would be bass boy. I guess I just had to be 55 because I don't know anything. We'll save that for a different. You know what? I want to do that when Sean's here, so we can see what Sean would name himself if he was a wrestler. Let's put a pin in that. Joey, write that down for the next show. For us to do for the next show.
Dirty Sanchez. That'd be Sean's name.
It is. For us three, this has been the Ringside Podcast and CSZ Podcast production of Wednesday night's wrestling recap. Until next time, it's just us, Oos. We'll see you ringside with the Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast. The preceding is a Ringside Podcast and Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast.